Councilmember Marci Collier Overstreet, thank you so much for being here. We truly appreciate it.
Of course, I'm excited about being here.
Well, I want to start off the conversation with a big debate you just had with the Atlanta Press Club.
Yes.
What are your thoughts coming out of that debate, either from anything that you said or even your opponent, Mr. Rohit Malhotra?
Well, I just thought that all of the points that were asked about, they were all pertinent points, and they're things that the actual residents and the visitors and the voters, they need to know. I think that we have distinct differences in the way that we govern or like to govern. One of us actually does govern, and I think that that needed to happen. So I feel fine as long as the words that I am speaking are telling the truth about my record, and I am only telling the truth about anything else that's happening around me. I'm happy with the results of that press club meeting, for sure.
And speaking of your record, we know that you have served on the council for many years, since 2017. What would you say is the biggest win for you so far?
Oh my goodness, it's hard to choose a win. I do believe that over the last 8 years, I've made a difference in so many ways, whether it be transportation, connectivity in my district, by way of sidewalks. I am the legislator, the author of our sidewalk study, comprehensive for the entire city, which has really made a difference in my district. From that to installing workforce housing, you know, the city of Atlanta has charged itself with putting in over 20,000 affordable units citywide by the year 2030, and I've done 2,500 in just my district alone, working hand in hand with the community, and also making sure that each and every installation of workforce housing has a community benefits agreement attached to it. And I did that over the past 8 years, not knowing that I would be running for council president, but just making sure that I was doing right by the constituents for the city of Atlanta, and making sure that we're attracting our workforce. That is those that are just graduated in these beautiful colleges that we have around the city of Atlanta. I want them to be able to afford to live in this city, as well as our employees, the firefighters, the teachers, the public works workers. I want them to be able to live right here. Our police officers living right here. So no matter what workforce person, I want them to be able to live in the city. So I've been working really hard on affordable housing and also public safety. I wanted to make sure that while on council, I've been holding public safety accountable and making sure that we're providing them with the benefits that they deserve, because they put their lives on the line for all of us every single day. And during COVID, I made sure they had hazard pay. That was my legislation also. And then we converted that into premium pay. And I voted yes for the Public Safety Training Center, because as a mother, I want to make sure that all of our children, especially those that are new to driving, are dealt with and met with nothing but trained, understanding officers. And that is what our Public Safety Training Center is about. So we have quite a few wins. I want to also talk about the green space win that's happening in Southwest Atlanta. Cascade Springs Nature Preserve is now on the map in such a big way. I'm so excited about the progress that's happening there. We have our first dog park, which I did a field trip for to make sure that I chose exactly the right kind of dog park. First one south of 20, really. And that was under my watch also. And we purchased land under my watch to build a new green space, which is on Danforth for NPUQ. So now we don't have any NPUs in the city of Atlanta without a green space. So that was important to me. And so we have quite a few wins, and looking forward to more.
Thank you. I want to get back to the Public Safety Center, Public Safety Training Center. But first, I want to ask you about some concerns that some residents might have about the progression of affordable housing, small business growth, and crime. What have you tangibly delivered on? You've spoken about it a little bit here, but if people say, okay, we're seeing this, but it's not to the point where I would like to be, these developers are coming in and pushing me out of my neighborhood, commonly called as gentrification. Have you delivered on some tangible items that the people of Atlanta have seen
Yes.
to make sure, and once again, affordable housing, and we can focus on small business growth as
Yeah,
well?
so just so you know, 2,500 units, and those are the ones that are actually either already erected or on the way in my district alone. That's more than 10%. And as you know, there are 12 districts in the city of Atlanta. So I'm doing my part as a council member, district council member, and I want to take this show citywide because I know that the way that I focused on making sure that those tangible things are happening in my district, I can do that citywide. I've been the zoning chair for 2 years while on council, which is citywide, have a very good, high understanding of exactly our unique communities. The city of Atlanta is built up of so many distinct qualities in every community, and we don't want to lose that. And so as I approach being the president of the City of Atlanta City Council, I will keep that top of mind, and I will deliver those tangible progressions that we've had in my district citywide as council president.
And can you briefly touch on small business?
Small business to me is the cornerstone of the city of Atlanta. So I've worked hand in hand with our businesses. We actually had a project, the Cascade Complete Streets, that really put our small business node in the small business area in harm's way. It made it so that there was a detour that didn't allow their regular customers to get to them easily. And I made sure that I did community enrichment and bringing the community to ATL DOT, or bringing ATL DOT to the community for 7 in-person meetings. And that meant that the business community was able to come and meet with the city as well. What I noticed is that they had a distinct, huge drop in revenue, and that was very concerning to me. So I made sure that they were able to sit in the mayor's cabinet to have conversations with Invest Atlanta and the mayor, as well as Watershed, because that was a watershed project also, and ATL DOT, to talk about what could we do for this business community while the city of Atlanta was progressing with our projects. And we did. I put in legislation because of that meeting and because of the Cascade Complete Streets, and made sure that those businesses were made whole. And I will do that continuously. We have to support our small businesses. As council president, I would actually like to have a small business summit throughout the year, so that they'll know how supported they are and make sure that they know what's available to them. And what I have found is that the city of Atlanta has resources in Invest Atlanta and other departments for small businesses that we don't actually let people know about as well as we possibly could. So we could advertise better, we can partner better, and we can certainly have a better permitting system. And I've talked to several small businesses that want us to simplify the way that they have to do permitting. And I am absolutely at the table to do that as council president.
Thank you so much for your answer. I want to get back to public safety. We know that the Atlanta Public Safety Training Center was controversial to some. A lot of people like yourself supported it, and other people did not want to see it. Mm-hmm. I want to ask you specifically about your opponent, Mr. Malhotra. There was a campaign that was, an ad linked to your campaign that classified him as a, quote, alarming threat to public safety for his ties to organizations advocating for defunding the Atlanta police. Your office received a lot of criticism for what some people were calling xenophobic comments. So right now, I want you to put it out plain, lay it out to the people. What did those comments mean, and how do you see your opponent as a threat to public safety, if that is what you see him as?
Oh my goodness. So Faith, let's be clear. I did not put those comments out there. Had nothing to do with the website, had nothing to do with the emails. So that wasn't my speak. I did not say those things. However, I do believe that his views about public safety and him supporting organizations that want to defund and abolish the police could be a definite safety hazard for the city of Atlanta. I don't believe in defunding the police. I actually wrote an op-ed about this July 2020, way before the whole notion about me becoming council president. So I have a strong belief about public safety. I believe that public safety looks like our public safety training center. It looks like our pre-arrest diversion system that we've put in place, the city of Atlanta has, while I've been on council. And I don't think that we should defund the police. So am I xenophobic? Absolutely not. I'm just getting to that part of your question. Absolutely not. Being raised in this beautiful city, raising my own Black children in this city, I understand that I have so much to lose if I don't get public safety right. And my children also would have a lot to lose if we don't get public safety right. I don't believe that anyone, any race in the city of Atlanta should feel threatened by public safety or anyone's thought about how public safety should actually happen in our city. And I think that it makes no sense at all to tie xenophobia or any other divisive measures in a campaign where something so important as public safety would be discussed. I don't think the two have anything to do with one another. I do believe it's about smoke screens and deflection, because public safety is public safety, and the way that one lives its life is another thing altogether. And I don't think that I've ever been xenophobic for my entire life. And it really is disrespectful to tell a Black woman that she is xenophobic, one that has shown through her service over the last 25 to 30 years that I am with all people. I believe in everyone doing well in the city of Atlanta, no matter where they come from or where they're going. So didn't agree with that, had nothing to do with that, and I do believe that that's just a deflection, because the city of Atlanta stands with me on public safety, and we do not want to defund or abolish the police.
Thank you for your answer. Can you touch on the transparency of just inside politics within city council? You're in it, you're at the table right now, you want to be the head of this table, correct? But some Atlanta voters, they are increasingly skeptical that they don't know what's going on, that there's some inside politics going on. How would you make City Hall more accessible to everyday residents and making sure that what's being talked about in those closed door meetings are transparent?
I'm not sure about which closed door meetings you're speaking about, but I do know that the city of Atlanta has regulations of public broadcasting. And every meeting that we have is open to the public. Public comment is more liberal with the city of Atlanta than any other entity.
And I'll just clarify, when I say closed door meetings, meetings that would happen outside of any public comment. If you're speaking with, a fellow council member, if you're having anything like that. Some people accuse politicians regularly of kind of having these inside politics moments that are not transparent. So just to clarify.
Faith, I've never been accused of having inside politics closed moments because that's just not how I operate. As a council person, I've been extremely collaborative and accountable to everyone and believe in such throughout. I make sure that I meet with council members on a regular basis, but there is nothing inside or private happening there except making sure that I understand why they write the legislation that they're writing, what's important to them in their communities. That's how I get to know our council members. I don't know of any other closed door insider business that's happening at City Hall because I don't take part in any of that. I am a very transparent person. I am actually the author of the task force for public trust. And out of that was born our Inspector General department. And then I sat at the table with Councilmember Jennifer Ide and Councilmember Howard Shook to make sure that our Inspector General department was actually erected. So I believe in the city of Atlanta having a watchdog, and that hotline was actually developed under my watch so that people that felt like things that weren't going right at the city of Atlanta, they could actually use the system to make sure that they're shining a spotlight on what they think is not going right. So I've always been on that side of transparency, accountability, and I know nothing about any closed door meetings that would bear anything that isn't transparent or forthcoming.
Thank you for that. Just to follow up, how is just the Office of the Inspector General going right now, in your opinion, and what changes would you make if you were to get this role?
So this year we've had to make changes to our Office of Inspector General. As with any brand new department, you want to make sure that you're correcting anything that didn't go exactly as you thought the legislation would go. And what I learned was that our employees were feeling as if they didn't have rights, which I didn't understand that legislation to point in that direction, but that's how they felt when they were being questioned or interviewed. They didn't feel like they could have representation with them. And so we went back to the drawing board to make sure that we added that into the legislation. So now our employees feel supported. That's why I am absolutely endorsed by all of the major union labor entities that support all city employees. That's FPSE, that's AFSCME, and PACE. They all endorse me because I've been an employee advocate and making sure that their rights are protected. Now we have somewhat of a Miranda right that is being read to any employee that is under investigation. Before they have to answer any questions, they understand well what their rights are. And that's born directly out of another task force that I was also a part of, just to make sure that we were getting our Inspector General department correct. And so our employees now have the rights that they should have had in the beginning, and I will always be at the table to make sure that we're taking care of our employees and that the City of Atlanta is being transparent and open to the public.
Thank you. And just being mindful of your time. For the folks who are keeping time, just remember you can always get in my line of sight here. I do have a question for you. What do you see as your biggest political liability or vulnerability entering this race?
Sometimes when you have a record to run on, that could be a liability because you have some other shiny object that could be filled with pies in the sky and hopes and dreams and anything that they can dream of, especially the rhetoric. You can have all of that, but sometimes you have actual record and results. And people like change. That is what we've learned, that people like change. And when things are going progressively better, sometimes they just want to see what else is out there, right? So just having the experience and an actual record and results can be more of a liability sometimes than a pie in the sky and rhetoric.
Thank you for your answer. How do you ensure your campaign isn't going to be influenced by developers or any special interests?
So I am going to always stand on being accountable and responsible and fiscally responsible. That is just who I've been as a council person for the past 8 years, and I'm not moved in any way by any developers or anyone that is not doing the right thing by the community. Every time someone comes to me, I take them directly to my constituents to talk to them about what's important to them. It doesn't always have to be my idea as to what actually happens in a community, because I think it should be collaborative. And that is why I'm running for council president, because we are always, and when I say we, I'm talking about council, because council also supports me as well as the mayor, this one and several others. They also endorse my campaign. And that is because we are always being collaborative about how we're doing business. So I will always stand with the council members and the community, especially the community and their communities, not just mine. So it doesn't have to be my idea, but I want to make sure that the developers and any other special interest groups understand the importance of speaking directly to the constituents. And I've done that for the whole 8 years, and I will do the same thing as council president.
And just to follow up on that question, in your 8 years, have you ever been influenced by any special interest, and would you commit to not being influenced if you do win this position?
Thank you so much for that question. No, in the whole 8 years, I've never, ever, ever been influenced by a developer or any outside interest groups. My opponent has actually funded outside interest groups, the ones that actually came into City Council during public comment to actually throw ping pong balls at council. So he actually funded that. And so no, I'm not influenced by groups. I don't fund abolishing or defunding the police groups. And because I don't have those interests in making sure that special interest groups are being heard and seen, I actually talk directly to the community about what they'd like to see happen at City Hall. And I will do the same thing as council president. I'll continue to do that.
Thank you. My last question is really just your message to voters, kind of taking it back to the debate a little bit. You have 60 seconds. What is your message in 60 seconds to the people of Atlanta?
My message to the people of Atlanta is that Atlanta deserves to have a leader in the council president role that is both proven and principled. I have delivered those affordable housing units for the city of Atlanta. I've also delivered green spaces and made sure that everyone feels safe in the city of Atlanta. I am going to continue to work hand in hand with all of our first responders and making sure that we stay safe in the city of Atlanta. I promise you that I will not use developers or any other special interest groups to guide the way that I govern. I will continue to make sure that I'm checking in with the community as council president. I will appoint the best chairs to continue this proven progress that the city of Atlanta has done for the past 4 to 8 years. And so I am going to be the best qualified person on the ballot for council president, and I'm hoping that as a voter, everyone agrees with me that I should absolutely be the next council president. Leadership matters, experience matters. So Marci Collier Overstreet for the next president for the city of Atlanta.
Councilmember Overstreet, thank you so much for your time. We truly appreciate it.
Thank you.